going to talk about Jake LaRavia in just a segment, but wanted to bring on an old friend, not just of ours, but of the city.
Once the mayor, always the mayor.
Yeah, that's the saying.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like we talked about earlier, when someone is a president and then they stop being, their term ends, you still call them Mr. President. Uh-huh. So I think it's a mouthful to say, good morning, Mr. Former Mayor.
Right.
So I think it's still Mr. Mayor. Welcome in, Darrell Steinberg. It's Dave and Jason. Good morning.
Good morning, Dave and Jason. Just don't call me the formerly honorable. That's all I ask.
The honorable.
Yeah, always honorable.
Darrell Steinberg.
It's great to be with you guys again.
Before we get started, we were asking each other, I wonder, now that your mayoral career is over, we took some guesses. How are you filling your time? Have you gotten into video games? Are you podcasts? Are you binging old TV series? How have you been filling the time?
Well, let me just say, on Tuesday nights, I watch more Giants games than I ever have before. Because I'm not at City Hall. No, I'm not retired. I'm working. I'm trying to mediate labor strikes, and I joined a law firm, the Manat Law Firm, and I'm trying to build a little bit of a business and a practice here. I'm going to write a book. Hey. I still have my mental health advocacy institute, and so I didn't want to retire. I just thought after 8 years as mayor that it was time. I think season for everything in life. I had 30 years of public service that was good and great, difficult at times, sometimes even painful, but I loved it, and yet I'm like loving life, and I'm still going to serve, always serve, man, and so I'm doing just fine in life. Thank you, and I love serving Sacramento. Always love Sacramento.
Dave, do you think the mayor has a resume and had to sit in for a job interview?
Oh my God!
Could you imagine that? You and I were waiting in the hallway, we're excited about this job, and then he walks in, he's getting it.
Good luck, Mr. Steinberg.
You know what? I'm trying to learn LinkedIn. I don't know any of this stuff. It's ridiculous. What do I do?
So we just wanted to have a really quick chat because today, Monday, Tuesday. With everything coming up Tuesday night at City Council, which you don't have to sit through 4 hours anymore. There's
I'm coming. I'm going to go, by the way.
I know you'll be, but you don't have to be banging the gavel. And if there's malarkey and hullabaloo, you can just watch it like the rest of us. But there's the stadium is on the table. Now there was a vote in November as well. This is another vote. I don't know if there's going to be another vote down the road to reassess the vote of the voting. But as we know, it's California, so we all move like molasses sometimes. But you're in a unique spot to talk about this because as state senator, you paved the way environmentally and in many other ways to help keep the Kings here with Golden One Center on the horizon and assuring David Stern that would get built. That was a huge, massive deal. Doesn't happen without that. Then you're here, you're on the deal. The ins and outs of the Golden One Center deal, and despite COVID, has been a great deal for the city. I think we can all agree, and I include our current mayor, that it was a great deal for the city of Sacramento. Now we're coming up on a stadium again, another underdeveloped, or in this case, not really developed area of Sacramento, as they say, on the front porch of the city. Maybe not as big, not as expensive, not as this, not as that. But Mr. Mayor, it seems like this is yet another very important step in finally getting those rail yards, not an eyesore, but something that, whatever the opposite of an eyesore is.
Well, to quote Buster Posey from earlier this week, it's go time again in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. And I have confidence, actually, that Mayor McCarty and the City Council are going to approve this on Tuesday. I think Mayor McCarty has been and continues to be very supportive. And this is good and great for Sacramento for a variety of reasons. Number one, you look at the history of the Railyards. For decades, this has been the single largest undeveloped parcel of infill property west of the Mississippi. And yes, there have been some advances, the courthouse, some housing, by the way, including affordable housing, and some other important projects. But really, this is the moment, because this is not only going to be an iconic soccer stadium, it is going to be it's going to result in a major music venue, and it's going to result in a huge amount of mixed-use development to the east of the soccer stadium. Remember, this isn't just soccer, it's a whole lot more. And so this is an opportunity to, in some ways, double the size of our downtown. And when you match that with the fact that our wonderful city aspires for so much more, including big-time soccer. I don't use the term Major League Soccer,
right,
because as far as I'm concerned, we are Major League. But for 8 years of my mayorship, we tried, and we did all the right things, by the way, as did Kevin Nagel, always. He deserves an enormous amount of credit. We put ourselves in a position to achieve exactly what the council is going to vote on Tuesday, for a variety of reasons: COVID, Ron Burkle, the league, the Major League Soccer pricing everybody out, etc. We didn't quite get there. And then in my last year, we finally found the right investor. We found the Wilton Band, and they are now returning to their ancestral lands. And they are the lead investor. And now we have a deal that is going to stick. And by the way, though it will start as USL, which is every bit as major league as anything else, it provides now the much greater potential that we're going to be welcomed into any and all leagues, even bigger leagues. And so, and I'll give you one more. One of the things that made the Golden One Center controversial, even though it was the right thing to do, and I was proud to be a big part of that, was the fact that the city had to pony up $350 or so million out of its parking fund. One of the principles of the Railyards Soccer and Development Agreement has always been no direct public money. The only public contribution is investing in infrastructure for the site that everybody wants to develop. And so, the critics may say, well, this is going to take money from the city general fund. No, it isn't. Without this kind of growth, without this kind of economic vitality, you're not going to have the tax revenue. And so this is good and great. I was, really happy to help shepherd this thing through. And it's the culmination of almost a decade of hard work to get us to a point where good and great things are going to happen in those Railyards and for the people of Sacramento.
We're talking with former Mayor Darrell Steinberg. I was going to kind of piggyback off that last part of your answer, Mr. Mayor, as far as the parallels between this potential deal and Golden One, besides the financial and public funding that you just addressed there. Are there any other parallels between that deal and this deal, or some of the differences between the two?
Well, the significant difference, again, for critics especially, is that except for infrastructure, which we ought to be investing in all the time, there is no public money.
Yeah, it's huge.
So the stadium is being privately financed. But the parallels are important. Sacramento wants more. I mean, we've crossed that threshold, said it so many times, right? We're a proud center of public service, proud to be the state capital, but now we're so much more. And over the last decade or more, the people have made a conscious decision, even if it isn't everybody, that we want to grow and we want more. We want more sports, more art, more culture, more industry. And this is another huge step in that growth for Sacramento, not just for the city, but for the region as a whole. And I want to emphasize again, it's so important, when you talk to Chairman Tarango and the history of his people, these are their lands. And so we can talk about all the social equity in the world, which, by the way, you never had a bigger housing advocate or labor advocate than me as mayor. But you talk about equity. These are the lands that belong to the Native American people and the Wilton Rancheria. And so that's equity too. And that's justice. And I'm very confident that the city council is going to approve this. There's every reason to. And, I know someone say, well, there needs to be more affordable housing. Believe me, I'm for affordable housing. In my last year, 2,500 or so housing permits were pulled. Over 1,300 of them were for affordable housing. So we're doing that, and the city's doing that throughout the city. But every project needs to stand on its own. Every project is unique. We know that there are other cities around the region that might want this wonderful opportunity and this asset. And so it's go time. And let's get this done, and let's create the continued future for our city.
Former Mayor Darrell Steinberg joining us. Last thing from me, this is where I get ahead of my skis, and it's always fun to do that in a public forum. But in reading this deal and trying to understand it, and I want to see if I have this right, because I'm not trying to sell the deal. I think the deal sells on its own, but I'm also a citizen, and I think it's important to have these conversations. As I understand it, and again, you're not going to embarrass me. I'm incapable of that. Feel free to correct me. This deal, which isn't just the stadium, but the investment around it, is privately funded. Then we get to the infrastructure. Now, do I understand this right, that there's something called an Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, or an EIFD? And if I understand this right, the mechanism for infrastructure, which I believe in many, if not most cases, the city does the infrastructure and then people develop on it, that the private groups are actually fronting the money for the infrastructure, so the city didn't have to write a check right away. And then the property taxes that will create revenue off of something that is currently mostly dirt and lizards, the property taxes over the next XYZ years that are generated from that are going to go to pay back the infrastructure costs that were funded by the developers. Am I in the ballpark there?
You said it better, Dave, than any former mayor or former politician would say it. That's that's exactly right. Look, here's my belief, and I know sometimes, maybe I'm a little out there. I think the whole city should be an infrastructure finance district. West Sacramento has about 40% of its city as a finance district, because that is a signal to the private sector that we want more infill growth, more industry, more sport, more art. And infrastructure is the way that cities invest in economic development. And so it's a public-private partnership, but without the city having to put a dime of its general fund in a mix. And by the way, without the development, you have much less general fund. And so, we go round and round with some of these things, but growth and smart growth that is what we call infill, that allows people to take public transit, that allows people to walk and bike from where they live to where they work and are building to where they play. We're building a lot more housing downtown. This is exactly the kind of growth we want. And there's no, the other term that gets thrown around is, well, you're going to gentrify the neighborhood. I shepherded the deal out at Aggie Square, which was the collaboration with UC Davis for a major big life science tech center, multi-billion-dollar investment with Chancellor May. It's beautiful. Well, we set aside a huge mitigation fund for affordable housing because those are existing neighborhoods. And you have to be concerned about the impact of growth on people who live there. The Railyards, that's not an existing neighborhood. That has been undeveloped for decades. And so every project needs to stand on its own. And this project is really, really important and good and great for Sacramento.
And by the way, can I just throw in layman's terms, which is what I understand, I'd much rather have a stadium and a music venue and all this stuff, and rather than have, I'm just using a term like Walmart come in and take the whole property and
Right.
build their corporate headquarters. And, you have to have a pass to get in there. And unless you work there, this isn't just development. It's development that, Jason, you can take your family to. I can
Civic pride, community,
it's
all
civic,
that.
It's civic pride. Mr. Mayor, before we go, last thing, as I just said, who do you miss more seeing every day, Mike Barnbaum or Mac Worthy?
Who was the second one?
Mac Worthy. Wasn't Mac Worthy speaking?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Mac Worthy. Mike. Well, Mike Birnbaum is a great young guy, and Mac Worthy represents the idea that everybody has a right to state their opinion in this democracy, and so, I'm happy to have done my time and hopefully accomplish some things for Sacramento, and let's move forward and continue to dream, and not just dream but do.
Well, we'll see you out there Tuesday. Honestly, I'm kind of rooting for a ponytail and a beard. I haven't seen you, but we'll see.
You remember, I don't have much hair, and there's no beard. But I'll see you guys. Great to talk to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate that. That's Darrell Steinberg. You've seen people before that don't have a lot of hair, but they got the ponytail in the back.
You can pull that off.
Yeah.
How
great would that be? He's just got
it's a clip on.
Just a